In 2018, an incident occurred in Shiga Prefecture. This incident took place between a mother who cared about education and a daughter who tried to live up to her expectation. Kiryu Nozomi, I defeated the monster. Now I feel safe. Kiryu Nozomi, the cause of this incident, was born in Murayama City, Shiga Prefecture. Kiryu was born an only daughter and was loved dearly. But her mother's love for her daughter was different. Kiryu's mother was a so-called education-conscious mother, and she had hoped for Kiryu to become a doctor since she was a child. As a result, she only bought study materials for her daughter. Meanwhile, Kiryu's father was a company employee who worked in maintenance. But when Kiryu was in the upper grades of elementary school, he moved to a company dormitory and lived separately, so only Kiryu and her mother lived together. Kiryu wanted to become a doctor to live up to his mother's expectations, and he spent every day reading Osamu Tezuka's manga, Black Jack, and studying hard. However, as she progressed through middle school and high school, her grades began to stagnate, and Kiryu's dream of becoming a doctor began to fade. Then came a turning point for her. It was time to take the university entrance exam, and she applied to a national university's medical school, the Department of Health Sciences. However, she failed and began to spend her time as a ronin. However, her mother did something surprising. She lied to her relatives that Kiryu had passed the entrance exam for medical school and ordered her daughter to go along with the lie. Kiryu wanted to get a job to escape her mother's control, but she was a minor at the time and could not get her mother's consent. And so her mother had to make Kiryu a doctor no matter what, because her mother had a complex about her educational background. As her highest level of education was a technical high school, she did not want her daughter to follow the same path as her. She told this truth to her daughter hundreds of times and expressed regret about her educational background. Her mother's parents were divorced, and her second husband was a doctor, so she felt close to the socially accepted medical profession from an early age, which is said to have led to her desire for her daughter to become a doctor. After that, Kiryu spent 9 years studying to get into medical school, but failed each time. During this time, her mother's education of her daughter escalated. First, she took away Kiryu's cell phone and strictly controlled his daily schedule from morning to night. In addition, his mother even bathed with him, leaving him almost no free time. This situation gradually took its toll on Kiryu's mind, and he tried to run away from home 3 times. However, his mother hired a detective, filed a missing persons report, and eventually brought him back. Meanwhile, Kiryu's mother allowed him to take the entrance exam for the Department of Nursing at Shiga University of Medical Science on the condition that he become a midwife in the future. And Kiryu passed and enrolled in April 2014. From then on, Kiryu studied diligently, and the conflict with his mother began to ease. However, an incident occurred that caused his mother to become too controlling again. It was the exam to advance to the midwifery course that Kiryu took in her second year of university. She failed the exam, since her mother had allowed Kiryu to enter the university on the condition that she become a midwife. She began to restrict her actions after her failure, against her mother's wishes. Kiryu finally decided to become an operating room nurse. An operating room nurse is a nurse who hands the scalpel to the surgeon during surgery and records the surgery. Later, in 2017, when she was in her 4th year of college, she was offered a job as a nurse at the Shiga University of Medical Science Hospital. Kiryu's efforts, which had been immersed in studying every day for a long time, had finally paid off. However, her mother, who had ordered Kiryu to become a midwife instead of a nurse, objected to her working as a nurse and forced her to turn down the offer and return to midwifery school. Even at that time, she had made her sign a pledge that, if she failed the entrance examination to midwifery school, she would not become a nurse but would take the examination again. Furthermore, in December of that year, Kiryu's mother found out that she had secretly hidden her cell, and after forcing Kiryu to kneel and beg, she smashed her cell with a concrete block Her mother also sent abusive emails to another cell phone that Kiryu was allowed to have. And just as her mother had said, in January 2018, Kiryu took the entrance exam for midwifery school but failed. And then came January 19, 2018. On that day, the deadline for the hospital where she had received a job offer was just 1 week away. So Kiryu told her mother how she felt. She wanted to become a nurse. In response to her daughter's heartfelt plea, her mother replied as follows: "If you'd had your way, I'd have been thrown back into the depths of despair," and continued to yell at Kiryu throughout the night. After being tied up by his mother for 31 years, Kiryu has finally reached his limit. Late at night, he offers to give his mother a massage before she goes to bed, and she is pleased when he rubs her neck. The next thing Kiryu realizes is that he is holding a knife. After taking his mother's life, Kiryu posts the following on social media: "I defeated the monster. Now I feel safe." This monster is presumably referring to his mother. In other words, for Kiryu, his mother has become like a monster. After everything is done, Kiryu starts to watch TV dramas, which he was not allowed to watch before. She also carries part of his mother's cold body to a reverbed only 250 meters from his house. 2 months later, his mother is found, completely changed, and an investigation begins. Meanwhile, Kiryu continues to work as a nurse at the hospital, where he was offered a job. While conducting interviews in the area, the police discovered that Kiryu's mother had not been seen recently and that no missing person report had been filed, even though Kiryu and his mother lived together. So they arrested Kiryu Nozomi on June 5, 2018. When the trial began, she denied killing her mother and claimed that she had taken her own life. However, the trial determined that Kiryu had killed her, and she was sentenced to 15 years in prison. At the time, the presiding judge said, "You have continued to walk the path your mother laid out for you, but please live your own life." After being imprisoned, Kiryu read the verdict over and over again and confessed to her lawyer that she would tell him everything at the appeal hearing. And at the appeal hearing, she fully admitted that she had killed her mother. At the time, she said, "The verdict in the first instance was as if the judge had been watching me all along. I decided to tell the truth and face up to my crimes, because my mother acknowledged a feud with me that she thought no one would understand." She added, "I was afraid that my father would find out that his daughter had murdered his mother," and revealed that her motivation was that her smartphone was broken and that she had been verbally abused throughout the night, calling her a traitor and a liar after failing the entrance exam for midwifery school. The appeals court therefore reduced her sentence from 15 years to 10 years, and the sentence became final, without any appeal by either the defense or the prosecution. The presiding judge said, "From now on, you will have to make your own decisions about your life. I'm sure there will be difficult times, but I hope you will not give up and rehabilitate yourself by following the path you have chosen." Kiryu nodded vigorously, her shoulders shaking. Kiryu Nozomi is currently being held in the Osaka detention house, and in an interview with a reporter, she said, "In the detention house, you're not scolded as long as you follow the rules. So I feel more comfortable now than when I was a Ronin living with my mother." She also talked about what she had to do to avoid committing the crime. "I realized then that I was in a situation where I should have asked for help, but I didn't even think about asking for help. I think things would have been different if I had realized that what was being done to me was overeducation. To be aware of it, you have to know that it exists, so I hope that by telling people about my case, I can allow them to be aware of it. This crime was committed by a woman. It's the responsibility of parents to discipline their children so that they don't go astray, but distorted, love can ultimately cause them pain and lead to the worst possible outcome. What Kiryu Nozomi has done is unforgivable. However, as the judge said, I hope she will be rehabilitated and move on with her life. We pray for the repose of the victim's soul. Thank you for watching.